What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Box Score Network YouTube channel. We got the Tricky Takes crew here, me, Billy, and then we got Austin. What's up, Austin?
Howdy.
And we got Connor with us as well.
What's up, guys?
And if you didn't catch our NLCS preview, go ahead and check that out. But this will be the ALCS preview starting on Monday. First game is going to be between the Guardians and the Yankees. So Guardians wrapped up their ALDS victory over the Tigers on Saturday. Big win for them. Lane Thomas, huge grand slam, and then poured on a few insurance runs, and Clase eventually came in, shut the door. So the Guardians take on the Yankees in the ALCS. So we are going to do a little positional breakdown. But before we get into that, Austin, you want to go ahead and break down our view of the pitching matchups, what we expect. Game one's kind of already been announced, but let's talk about a little bit of the pitching matchup that we can expect to see throughout the series.
Yeah, I like the pitching on both of these teams pretty equally, if we're being honest. Monday's game one, will be Carlos Rodon on the mound versus Alex Cobb on the mound for the Guardians. I think that's a pretty interesting matchup. Those are both like those teams' number twos right now. Game two is when we see the matchup of the aces, Tanner Bybee versus Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole, obviously the bigger name there, but do not sleep on Bybee. That kid can pitch, and Cole has not been as sharp of late. So I'm looking for Bybee to match Cole in that matchup and go pitch for pitch with him. Game three, kind of up in the air. I think we're going to see Matt Boyd, who's a lefty for Cleveland. For New York, it's going to be one of two guys. It's going to be Clark Schmidt or it's going to be Luis Heel. I prefer Heel. I think he's a slightly better pitcher. That might not be the way the Yankees and Aaron Boone sees it. They might go Clark Schmidt in game three to match up with Boyd. Heel and Schmidt are both righties, so it's not like a lefty on lefty type feel. They're just gonna pitch whoever they like more in game three. Maybe Heel, maybe Schmidt, and then game four will be whoever doesn't pitch for the Yankees between those two, and then it'll be probably Trevor Williams. And then game five, we go back to the game one rotation with Rodon and uh, Cobb. And then hopefully we get to see a game seven with Garrett Cole and Bybee on the mound because that would be electric.
Yeah, Cole coming off a gem of a game in their last matchup against the Royals really turned in like an ace performance that they really needed in the playoffs. So he definitely picked up the slack recently. And yeah, Tanner Bybee has been pretty solid for the Guards all postseason. He was really good in the regular season. So interesting pitching matchups going forward in this one. Connor, you got any input on the pitching matchups that you want to throw in?
Yeah, my big thing is, and we'll talk about it a bit more when we get to the breakdowns, is what Carlos Rodon are we going to get? Because ever since he went to New York, it's not been who we were expecting. And so I think that, and starting off this series with him on the mound, it really is going to let you know which way it's going to go for the Yankees to at least start off with.
Yeah, I agree. So we are going to get into a little positional breakdown and give our advantages either way. We'll start off at catcher. Catcher for the Yankees, Austin Wells. He's a rookie coming off a really good rookie year, offensively and fairly good defensively as well. Um, just above league average as a hitter, 103 OPS plus. And then on the Guardians side, you have Bo Naylor, another young catcher. Um, not he's improved defensively, but as far as the offensive side of the ball goes, he is still looking to make that adjustment to big league pitching. Um, he hit just 201 this year, so neither one of them have been particularly good in the postseason. Um, and they're both really known for their defense so far in their career. So, Austin, which way would you give the advantage to the Yankees or the Guards?
I'm gonna lean Yankees here. Uh, Bo Naylor is hitless so far,
Yeah.
so that's not a good look. So I think just gonna default go with Welly.
Yeah, I was looking at the same thing. If you can't get a hit, you're not going to be as impactful. Yes, defense is important as a catcher, but you also have to have the offensive production. So I do have to go with the Yankees at catcher.
Yep, I agree. The Guardians will deploy some Austin Hedges every now and then, but Bo Naylor will be getting the majority of the reps back there behind the plate. So we will move on to first base. Anthony Rizzo has been out, had two fractures in his right hand. So they've kind of had a platoon at first base, a little bit of John Birdie, who this year was actually his first experience at first base. And then Oswaldo Cabrera, we've seen him in the Yankees lineup over the past year or two. And he's played all over outfield, infield. So he's got some run at first base. And then the Guardians, Josh Naylor, first time All Star this year. He really turned it on with the bat, with the power numbers, 31 homers, 100 plus RBIs. Um, so I think for me right now, due to the, uncertainty of what we get out of the first base position with the Yankees, I'd give the advantage to Naylor. And even if it was Rizzo, I think I'd still lean Naylor.
Yeah, I think I would give Naylor a slight advantage unless Rizzo was having a good postseason. Naylor has been kind of average. I think he's got a 200 average so far in the postseason, not really doing a whole lot. So it would depend if Rizzo was playing well, but without Rizzo there, you've got to lean Naylor.
Yeah, it's absolutely Naylor, and it's not particularly close. I kind of lean with you guys about even if it was Rizzo, I would lean Naylor. He's been that good this year.
Yeah, really big for him to step up this year, and a big reason why the Guardians are where they're at. We'll move on to second base. So Gleyber Torres for the Yankees. Um, we've seen him kind of play all around the infield in his career with the Yankees, but he's kind of settled into the second base spot. And the Guardians, Andres Jimenez, known defensive stud, but the bat necessarily hasn't followed the same trajectory his defense has. Connor, who do you lean here?
I am going to lean Glaber Torres here. His bat's been a little bit better. They're both equivalent defensively, I feel. Even though Jimenez might be better at the moment, I think that Glaber Torres can still play a very good defensive second base, but Jimenez's bat is just not there. He's been struggling all season. It's continued through the postseason. And again, in the playoffs, you've got to have that offensive production. So I lean Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, I really want to give it to Jimenez because that glove is gold. It is the best glove at second base in the league at
Almost,
right now,
almost platinum.
almost platinum. And Gleyber Torres does not play a very good defense, in my opinion. I think he's pretty bad defensively, fielding run value, 15th percentile this year. So pretty bad. So I really want to give it to Jimenez, but the bat plays, man, and especially in the postseason, the bat plays. So I'll give a slight advantage to the Yankees.
Yeah, it's not like Glaber's been lighting the world on fire the post either, with his offensive numbers, but he's been better than Andres Jimenez has. Obviously, you got to factor in, the defensive value that Jimenez brings, but Torres brings, a little more pop with the bat and,
Yeah,
much more power potential.
yeah, it's
Uh,
the pop
out
for
of that
me.
spot. Yeah, so yeah, I'd have to give the edge to Gleyber Torres heading into this matchup. Not to say that, Andres Jimenez might not turn it around, but the way he's been, traveling on the offensive side of the ball the last 2 years hasn't been what the Guardians had envisioned. Um, Moving on to another position where we've seen some lackluster offense out of both of these positions, that is the shortstop spot. Two really young guys, two top prospects for their programs, Anthony Volpe and Brian Rocchio. Um, both have seen their struggles making their adjustment to the big leagues. Both good defenders, but we'll see how they can produce with the bat. Volpe, has seen a little bit more success when you factor in OPS and OPS plus. Um, but Austin, who do you give the advantage to here?
I do like Brian Rocchio, especially with his glove. I think he's a tremendous defender, but the bat not that good. He did look good in the ALDS with the Guardians just wrapped up. But I've kind of got to go and rely on what we've seen through the body of the year, even though it's about who's hot right now. And Rocchio's a bit hot, but I mean, Volpe hasn't been bad in the postseason. He's just been more average. So I'm going to lean Volpe. And honestly, Volpe is a better defender, anyways. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I am gonna lean Rocio though because, like you said, Austin, he is hot right now. He's got a 3.45 slash line in the postseason. So yeah, his regular season may have not been great, but right now he's hitting the ball, and that's what you need. And yes, slightly worse defender, but again, they're very close to each other, comparable, and so I think I'm going to give the edge to the Guardians.
Yeah, it's really a toss-up here, and I think, Anthony Volpe hasn't been struggling in the post. He's hitting 250. Um, but Rocchio did figure something out, I think, in the LDS. And so if he can continue that and carry that into the LCS, then I think he's got the edge over Volpe. Again, neither one of them are bad defenders, both above average. Would lean Volpe slightly defensively, but with Brian Rocchio, kind of seeing the ball well right now and just putting it in spots people aren't playing. I think I'm gonna lean Brian Rocchio here. Um, obviously we have Volpe, a more established, you know, production on the offensive side, but I think with the way things are trending right now, I want to lean Rocchio. Okay, moving on to third base. It's more interesting than I thought it was going to be about halfway through the year if you were going to compare these two teams. Jazz Chisholm now playing third base with the Yankees, with the Yankees. Um, Jose Ramirez on the other side, playing third base for the Guardians, but I still think there's a clear winner here, and that is Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, it's very clearly Jose. He's one of the best third basemen in the league right now. So, without a doubt.
He's the best infielder in this matchup amongst any position. So among the infield guys, I would take J Ram over any of them.
He does need to turn it on in the postseason. He's been a
Yes.
little un Jose Ramirez
I
like
I
this
mean,
post
he's
so far.
a 788 OPS isn't
Yeah.
bad. Like, obviously you want more from that of your star guy, but like, he's not scuffling or anything like that.
No, yeah. I wouldn't
If you
say
just
that
look
at
at the
all.
average, you don't think it's
Yeah,
bad.
but yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
only 3 hits, but a home run and a double in those three,
Right. So
and 3 walks as well.
yeah. And once he gets on the bases too, he is,
Yep.
you know, that's the thing about the
Surprisingly
Guardians.
quick.
Surprise, yeah, you would think. Jazz has done a good job too. He swiped a few bags in the post as well. But we'll move on to the outfield. Um, let's just go left, center, right here. Left field, we're looking at Stephen Kwan with the Guardians. And then with the Yankees, you've got Alex Verdugo. And then maybe we'll see some Jason Dominguez out and left. We'll see. But for now, we'll say Verdugo. And I would give the edge to Stephen Kwan here. You know, borderline another guy on the Guardians roster that is borderline platinum glove. And then the bat, he just gets on base like nobody's business. Um, Verdugo has some struggles on the offensive side and not as strong in the outfield defensively. So I'll lean Guardians here.
Yeah, Stephen Kwan by a mile and a half.
Yeah, I think Kwan has the highest OPS among all players in the postseason right now, amongst players who are, still actively participating. I think his OPS is the highest amongst them all. So yeah, he's been real good, and he will beat out Verdugo any day. I am really hoping they put Jason Dominguez in, the alien. He can be a real game changer.
Yeah, if he gets hot, I mean, he could literally win this series for
Mhm.
the Yankees if he is, put in those positions to drive in runs and get on base and start rallies. So I mean, if he gets rolling, then it's big trouble for the Guardians. We'll move to center field. Lane Thomas for the Guardians, and then this guy Austin. I believe you refer to him as Arson
Yes. Yeah.
Arson Judge. Um, Curious to hear y'all's thoughts here. Austin, who would you give the advantage to in this pretty even matchup?
Well, I mean, one of these guys is batting 154, on in the postseason, and the other guy you would think would hopefully be doing better, but is not. So I'm gonna go with Arson.
Yeah, it's Aaron Arson by miles.
Yeah, I agree. Lane Thomas is a big reason the Guardians got here, but um, can't take him over Aaron Judge.
No.
All right, right field, it's going to be a mixed bag for the Guardians. You'll see one of my favorite nicknames in the bigs, Big Christmas. Junkensky Noel, and then Will Brennan will also be platooning there. It depends on the pitching matchup. Lefties is when Big Christmas will get in, and then righties will face Will Brennan. And then no need to mix up the bag and right for the Yankees. It's Juan Soto, and he has the clear advantage here.
Yeah, he's gonna get paid this offseason.
Mhm. I'm I don't want to come off as a Noel hater, but I'm a little bit lower on him than most. So it's Soto either way, but just
Yeah.
thought I'd throw some shade out there for no reason.
Big Christmas, he's got to cut down on the chase and the swing and miss. And um, with a lot of these guys, when he connects, it goes a long way, but he's just got to connect a little more for my liking. We'll move on to DH. Giancarlo Stanton with the Yankees, and then we'll likely see a mix of David Fry and Kyle Manzardo, the rookie, against, that based on pitching matchup yet again. But Giancarlo Stanton has been one of the best hitters in the postseason so far. Um, and he will have the edge here again.
Yeah, he really turned it on after the regular season once we got into the postseason and has looked outstanding for the Yankees. And unfortunately, even with David Fry's heroics, it's not quite enough to put them over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Stanton has just kind of always stepped it up when it comes postseason time. He just seems to be a guy who thrives in October. So I'm gonna look at him to keep that up as long as the Yankees are in the dance. He'll be performing well, I think.
It still just baffles me how slow Giancarlo Stanton is.
Man,
Did steal a base in the ALDS, but uh, yeah, just baffles me watching him run. Uh,
Lumbering is how I would describe it.
Lumbering, yeah. Okay. So we'll give a rundown of the starting pitching as we mentioned. Austin went through, what we can expect to see game by game, who they will roll out as the starters. But as a group, who would you guys give the advantage to when you look at the overall starting rotations of these teams?
Yeah, having Garrett Cole just kind of puts the Yankees on top for me. Although I did talk about how I think Bybee is great, Cole just kind of has the ability to just get it done, and the guards won't be able to do anything about it if he turns it on. We saw him have a really good game his last outing, but I think overall towards the back half of the season, he hasn't, been that super dominant self. But I mean, if he can flip the switch and stay dominant, I mean, that's just two wins for the Yankees that he pitches. So that kind of outlier just kind of puts the Yankees in advantage because I do think they're very close outside of him.
yeah, and kind of like I said, it really depends on what we get out of Carlos Rodon. I think I will lean the Yankees, but if Rodon can come in, have a quality start, give them 6 innings and pitch well, I think that it clearly does go to the Yankees with the combination of him and Garrett Cole. If not, it gets a little bit closer to me, but I think Cole does push it to the Yankees side regardless.
Yeah, the big difference here is going to be obviously you have the presence of a true ace in Garrett Cole. Um, but then also the postseason experience when you look at these staffs compared to, you got Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, obviously Luis Gil is a rookie, even Clark Schmidt. has some postseason experience. And then, you go to the Guardians, you got young guys like Tanner Bibby and Matthew Boyd, who is not a young guy, but doesn't necessarily have that postseason experience. Alex Cobb. Um, so I think that, Stephen Vogt is going to have to do a really impressive job of managing his starters, and not letting the game get too far out of hand for them to, you know, make some kind of comeback. The Guardians are a scrappy team, but he's going to have to do a really good job of managing that starting rotation. Um, I just have more faith in the overall, bones of the Yankees starting rotation than I do the Guardians at this point in the season. And if you had guys like Shane Bieber healthy and pitching his regular expectancy, then you can make a better argument for the Guardians as well. But unfortunately, he's out, so a lot of young guys are going to have to really cut their teeth in this postseason series.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the bullpen. Uh, Interesting guys in both. Two, well, Manuel Clase, potentially the best, relief pitcher in baseball. But then you've got a guy, Luke Weaver, um, in the Yankees bullpen, who has really come into his own and basically dominated in the postseason and become really a lights out closer. Um, but the Guardians have, gone through some bullpen games this postseason. So who do you guys give the edge to there, Connor?
I think that the Guardians have a more complete bullpen outside of just Clauset and Weaver. I mean, you've got guys like Kate Smith who have had a great postseason. Hunter Gaddis has been solid so far. Heron as well has had a pretty good season. So you've got these guys who have been a lot more consistent than what the Yankees on the whole have had. I mean, you had Clay Holmes at the beginning of the year for New York, and he really kind of fell off after the All Star break, and which is what allowed Luke Weaver to step in and be that dominant closer that we're seeing right now. But on the whole, I think that the Guardians just have a lot more depth in their bullpen that gives them more versatility.
So I was just wanted to go through and get the exact details because the Guardians bullpen is elite. Not only do they have the best reliever in all of baseball, I think they have the eighth best reliever in all of baseball and the 15th best reliever in all of baseball, all in this rotation. And that's Emmanuel Clase at the top. He's top dog. Cade Smith, to me, was the eighth best reliever in all of baseball. And Hunter Gaddis was the 15th best reliever in all of baseball this season. And that's cold hard facts from my spreadsheet that I use to calculate Cy Young award winners. And I've expanded that to include relievers. If you want to hear more about that, we'll talk about episode Triicky Takes here probably soon when we do our MLB awards show, which will be in the next couple weeks. But yeah, these guys are awesome. Cleveland's bullpen might have one of the heaviest positional group advantages over the Yankees bullpen amongst any of them. So, yeah, I'm really looking for to see how Vogt manages it because it could come down to a managerial decision to win the whole series.
Yeah, it sure could. And the Yankees bullpen has been playing much better as of late. I mean, you look at what they did in the LDS, 15 and two-thirds scoreless innings against the Royals in the LDS, which is pretty impressive. And the Guardians did not play their best baseball, when the bullpen came in against the Tigers. I know Clase blew a save early in the series. So, I mean, they haven't been their typical lights out stuff. But I definitely feel like Stephen Vogt has a lot more confidence in his bullpen than Aaron Boone would say he had in his bullpen. And so I know Stephen Vogt won't be hesitant to, pull the starter early if things get ugly and just ride the bullpen. I think he's got, 100% confidence in every arm he's got out there. And I think that's the reason I'll give the advantage overall to the Guardians in the bullpen department. Um, so when we look at overall series predictions. Connor, what is your prediction here? Who wins the series? How many games? And who's the
And
MVP?
I am riding with my pre-postseason prediction. It's going to be the Guardians. I do think it will be 7 games. And if I had to pick an MVP, I'm going to say Josh Naylor. I think he's going to have a couple clutch homers.
If it gets to 7, I don't like the Guardians odds because Cole's going to be going in Game 7. So that's why I am predicting it to go 7, but I'm predicting the Yankees to come out on top. MVP for me is going to be Juan Soto.
I just think that the Yankees have a little too much firepower offensively. We've talked about, the confidence and the strength of the Guardians team is the bullpen. Um, so I will lean Yankees in 6 here. It pains me to say that as a Guardians fan. Um, but if I had to make a confident series prediction, I would say Yankees in 6. MVP, give me Giancarlo. I think he's just been playing as well as he has in the past, 5 years since he's been a Yankee, you
Yeah.
know, in his time in the postseason this year. So um I will say Yankees in 6 with Giancarlo taking the MVP. So that about wraps up this ALCS preview. Anything else you guys want to hit on before we get out of here?
No.
Nope.
I'm I'm looking for this to be a really good one, and I think whoever wins this is gonna have a good shot to win the whole thing. AL's strong this year.
AL is very strong.
Yeah, and these two divisions really represented well in the postseason. 5 total teams out of the AL East and AL Central. So they fought through some tough divisions to get to this point, some tough, divisional matchups to get to this point, some tough playoff series. So gonna be an exciting series. Yeah, really looking forward to it. And yeah, excited for it. And NLCS going on right now as we record this Sunday night. Um, Anyways, guys, we appreciate you tuning in and listening to another episode on the Box Score Network YouTube channel. Again, check out our podcast, the Triicky Takes podcast. That's tricky with 2 eyes, along with all of our other Box Score Network podcasts as well. Be sure to give them a listen. I know a lot of good stuff coming out right now. Football season in full swing. So make sure to give them a listen, and we appreciate you guys tuning in.